What's happening, family? Listen, I want to share something with y'all real quick, and then I'm going to come back and explain what was going on in my life at this period of time. And I hope this video helps somebody. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this video real quick, and then I'm going to come back and explain to y'all what was going on in my life at that time. So here it goes right here. God, this nigga got that bird. All right, y'all. So April 13th, 2019, I lost my dad. He had a lot of complications due to a lifetime of drug addiction. A lot of what I'm talking about on this channel stems from my childhood. A lot of you guys know that as empaths, a lot of us have a lot of childhood trauma and things that we need to deal with. That's how we kind of got entangled with the narcissist in the first place. So I want to share with you guys exactly what was going on at this time in my life. So I had just lost my dad April 13th, 2019. Within a month of me losing my father, the narcissist that I was involved with was telling me that she was pregnant. And if you guys know anything about my story, I was pretty much finessed into the pregnancy. I know a lot of people feel like men can't be baby trapped and things like that, which is completely absurd, because if somebody is presenting themselves in a way that, you know, they're gonna be a perfect person in your life and you are lowering your guards because you think that this person is who they're presenting themselves to be, and then you find out later on that this person is totally not that person, and basically they came in your life to steal your semen, like steal your, basically, like I feel like this person used me for, you know, to have a baby, and then I was discarded shortly after. So, and this is somebody that I had known all my life, so it wasn't like this is somebody that was brand new in my life or anything like that. So at this time, like I said, I had just lost my dad, and I didn't even get a chance to grieve my dad. Now, let me tell y'all about, okay, the person that I was involved with, she was there on the day that my dad actually died. She came with me to the nursing home and saw me. She stood over my father's dead body, and that's when I started noticing, like, there was no empathy in her. That she didn't really care. There was no feeling in her. You know what I'm saying? Like, she pressed me out to, like, she basically, like, pressed me out, you know what I'm saying, to be there. Like, so my dad died. I got the phone call from the nursing home. The nursing home called and they were like, hey, you know, you need to get down here. Your dad's not looking too good. He might not make it, you know, through the next couple hours. Like, you need to get down here. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now at that time, me and the narcissist were dealing with each other, and we were actually planning on going on a road trip that day. We were going to head up to New York for a day to, you know, go visit some of her family and go shopping and all of that kind of stuff. So she had spent the night at my house the night before, and then I got the phone call. Once I got that phone call, I, you know, was like, listen, I need to go. I need to, you know, go see what's going on with my father. And she hadn't really known my father that well. She had met him once or twice before he went into the nursing home, but she didn't know him that well. But she was like, hey, can I go? I want to go. I want to be there. I want to be there. Can I be there for, you know? And she was so adamant about it at the time that I didn't even really think anything of what was going on. So I was like, okay, sure, no problem, let's go. So I take her with me because at this time, this is the person that I'm kind of involved with. Like, we weren't in a full-fledged relationship, but she was the closest thing that I had to a girlfriend at that point. So I'm like, sure, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's go. And then I didn't know that she had bad intentions for my life or my, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So I'm like, yeah, sure, come on, you know what I'm saying? I thought she was there to be a support in my life. So we get to the nursing home, and that's when I started noticing like the lack of empathy there. Like there was a point in time where I mentioned in another video where I had gotten a little bit emotional, and I had started kind of talking to my dad, and I started kind of talking about some of the things that um, I had experienced growing up. Like he's already passed, but my emotions was running high, and I was kind of just like, you know, why? Like why did you choose the choices that you made? Like why, you know, did you choose to, you know, leave me this type of way, that kind of thing. And she ran out of the room, you know what I'm saying? And when she ran out of the room, I'm looking at the situation, and I was kind of wondering, like, that was strange, you know what I'm saying? But I thought maybe at that time she had gotten a little bit emotional herself, and she didn't want me to see her cry and all of that kind of stuff. But when she came back in the room, I noticed that it wasn't a cry. It was kind of like she had that narcissistic smirk, like that smirk on her face. That it was kind of like, yeah, okay, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of noticed it in that moment, and you know, but I was still dealing with the death of my father and all of that. And you know, she kind of played it like, oh, I'm so sorry that you lost your dad, you know, and that was that. Like, so later on that day, I had talked to my mother, and she had kind of encouraged me, like, listen, you know, if you had something planned to go out of town, because I told my mother that I had plans to go on a road trip up to New York real quick, and I said, but I'm not gonna go because my dad had passed. And she was like, nah, you know, your dad wouldn't want you to slow your life down. You know, you know how your father was. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So she's like, you know, go have fun, go enjoy yourself, and you know, we'll have to deal with the funeral and everything when you get back. But you know, so go ahead and enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, and all of that kind of stuff. So we did. So I actually went out of town. The day that my father passed away, I went out of town to New York, enjoyed the day, enjoyed the weekend, all of that, and then I came back and started dealing with the things and dealing with the arrangements for the funeral and everything. And it was a cool little getaway because of the fact that, you know, there was nothing that I could do at that point. They were still in the processing of, you know, his body and all of that kind of stuff. So I had to wait anyway. I had to, you know, it was nothing that I could do physically at that moment. So it kind of gave me an opportunity to get my mind off of things, all of that kind of stuff. So, like I said, April 13th, 2019, I lost my dad. The narcissist was with me. She ran out of the room in that moment. And then when she came back, she kind of had that little smirk on her face. And then it was like, from that point on, from the time that my father died, it was, I guess that's when the devaluation kicked in, because she started, like, you know, talking to me crazy, talking, you know, like out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying? Like she had the utmost love and respect and all of that kind of stuff right before then. But it's like as soon as my father died, that's when it's like I became a target in her world. Like I became the person that was going to take the brunt of the abuse. So what she ended up doing was she knew I was vulnerable in the moment of my father passing, and she kicked the love bomb into like high gear. She kicked the love bomb all the way up. She turned the love bomb all the way up because she knew I was kind of vulnerable at that moment. And then she started. My mother gave me the term. She called it stealthing. Like, so basically pulling the condom off in the middle of sex. And the first couple times I'm like, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? We talked about this because her and I had plenty of conversations about not getting pregnant and all of that kind of stuff, because I felt like it was always something that made me feel like there's something that she wasn't telling me, or it was something that was, you know, that kind of made me hesitant, because maybe I just didn't feel like she was all the way in, you know what I'm saying? Like she was all the way invested into the situation. And I'm like, listen, you live in one part of the city, I live in another part of the city, and You know what I'm saying? We too far. Like if we're not gonna, basically, if we gonna do this, then let's actually be in a full-fledged relationship. Let's do this the right way, because we're not young kids anymore. We have, experience under our belt. Let's do this the right way. And the whole time she's like agreeing, like, yeah, you're right. So she's telling me one thing, but then uh, she's doing another. You know what I'm saying? So we're in the middle of sex, and like I said, she started pulling the condom off. And like I said, the first couple times when I said something to her about it, then she was like, um, when I say, are you trying to get pregnant? Like, I feel like you going out of your way to try to get pregnant. No. And she went as far as like showing me this ovulation app that she had on her phone, and she's lying to me, telling me, no, these are the days, like I can't get pregnant on these days. Or not that I can't get pregnant, but it's like a low probability on this day and on this day and this day. And no, I'm not trying to get pregnant. No. I just feel so much closer to you when we do it with the condom off and all of this kind of stuff. She's basically finessing me, and she knows that I'm hurting at this time because I had just lost my dad. So I'm not thinking clearly at all. And then I'm thinking that also this is somebody that I've known for years. So I'm not thinking that she would actually put me in that position. She would actually go that far to trick me into a baby, when she could have really just asked. Like, we were so close and we were so cool at that time that she could have just honestly came and asked me and said, hey, listen, I want to have another baby, and I want you to be the father. I think you're a good dude. And you know what I'm saying? Like, she could have literally just came to me and asked me. And with me being, I was pushing 40 at that time. I think I was 38 at that time. My son's 2. So yeah, I was 38 at that time. And with me pushing the age that I was and everything, I would have probably even considered it, because her and I had such a cool relationship at that time, that I'm thinking, like I would have probably considered it, even if she said, listen, I don't want to necessarily commit all the way to you, but I do want another child, and I want, and I want it by somebody that I'm comfortable with, that I know, and that I'm cool with, that thing, that kind of thing. So even if she had came at me with the truth, like, then I probably would have considered it, just because, like I said, of my own personal age and the fact that I did want kids at some point in my life, but I just wanted it under the right circumstances. So I was very adamant. The situation that I'm currently in is everything that I was trying to avoid as far as raising my child. I've always, my entire life, I wanted to raise my child in a household where they had both their parents. She knew that. Like, we talked about that. That's something that her and I discussed over and over and over and over and over, way before she got pregnant. And then when she got pregnant, that's when it was kind of, like I said, the devaluation and the discard happened so fast. Like, from the time my father died, it was just all of this negative comment. Like, she was just talking to me crazy, like, all of a sudden, like, and it was so short, because, like I said, it was before my father passed. I was everything to her. I was everything in her world. I was, the best thing smoking in her world. And then the next, like, as soon as my father passed, it was like, yeah, I don't need you anyway. Or, yeah, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Her attitude towards me had just switched. So, but her attitude towards me switched. So I was in that devaluation phase, but she was love bombing, and she was using a lot of sex at that time. And I think that it was because she was actually trying to get pregnant at that time. So she went out of her way to try to get pregnant. So she started pulling the condom off, like I said, and she started, lying about not trying to get pregnant and all of that kind of stuff. And then, boom, one day she comes. Now, this is about a month after my dad died, almost a month to the day after my dad died, that she tells me, hey, I'm pregnant. And then, so, of course, now I'm like, we're talking and everything, and this is how crazy everything was, and this is how I know that she purposely and intentionally did it. And a lot of you guys may say, like I said, men can't be trapped into a baby and all of that kind of stuff. But she knew what she did, and I actually called her out on it. And I'm like, man, you know, I feel like you trapped me into the situation. I feel like you. And she looked at me and turned her head sideways, like, I know. And she admitted to doing it. And then after she admitted to doing it, it was like instantly she started pushing it away. She started, no, I didn't. No, I only said that because, you know, you said this. And I only said that because, and I'm like, come on, man, you know what you did. You know that you were lying about your intentions about trying to get pregnant. You know that this is not a situation that I would have chosen just by, you know, like basically you took my choice away from me by continuously lying, and me knowing that I was vulnerable. You basically took advantage of the situation that I was vulnerable about my dad dying, and you felt like, okay, this is my time to strike. And that's what she did. She took her shot, and she got pregnant. Now, this is how I know for sure that it was like literally her only motive was to get pregnant, because as soon as she got pregnant, like literally the day that she told me that she was pregnant, like a day or so later, she came to me and was like, listen, I don't need no nigga. I don't need to be with you. I don't need, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like my mother. And when she said I'm just like my mother, I realized it ain't had nothing to do with me. It ain't have nothing to do, like, okay, she literally basically came into my life, acted like she cared about me, acted like she loved me, acted like whatever, to get a baby out of me, and then took off. You know what I'm saying? So when she took off, first, I'm not gonna chase you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we too grown, we too old for this. Like, I'm not gonna play the game of chasing you. Like, regardless of how much I care for you, love you, or whatever the case may be, if you gonna run off, if you are willing to make a move and run off and dash off like that, knowing that we have a child on the way and all of that kind of stuff. And I actually tried to do the right thing in the situation, because, okay, you got to understand this about that relationship as well. Her and I were in a on again, off again type of friendship, like friends with benefits, relationship type of situation for almost 10 years, off and on. And I had dated other people in between. She had obviously dated plenty of people in between. But during that time, when we were in the on again, off again type of situation, everything that her and I had experienced happened at my house, or at, you know, she came to me. Like, it wasn't like I was seeking out a relationship with her and chasing her down or any of that kind of stuff. It was like she was the main one in pursuit of me. As soon as she got pregnant, she just ran back to her mother's house, and I actually was like, listen, hey, you pregnant now. This is before I know anything about narcissism. This is before I realized what's going on. This is before I realized that her plan is to just take my seed and run off and leave me in the dust and act like, hey, whatever, and jump off to her next victim and keep on moving with her life. I didn't realize that's what was going on at the time. So I'm like, listen, you basically spend all your time here at my house, because during that time, like I said, she was love bombing real hard. So she was at my house 2, 3, 4 times a week, and then on the weekends as well. So I'm like, okay, you're at my house all the time anyway. You're pregnant now. Why don't you move in? And as soon as I said, you know, why don't you move in? She, oh, no. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, you spend half of your time here anyway. Like, we not little children. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a child on the way. Why would you not want to be with your child's father so y'all can kind of work together as a team? I can kind of be there for you to support you through the pregnancy, all of that kind of stuff. But then I realized that that wasn't my role in her life. I was just there to plant my seed. That's it. she had her mother to support her through the pregnancy. She had all of her flying monkeys and all of that kind of stuff around to support her through her pregnancy. So I was then outcasted, and then I realized. Then that's when I started realizing she has another son, and she did the same thing to his father. She basically outcasted his father as well. And so that's when I'm starting to realize, wait a minute, something's not right in this situation. I still didn't understand narcissism at that time. I still didn't understand any of that kind of stuff. But that's basically at the point that I was at in my life when this bird started to appear. When the bird at the very beginning of the video. Now, at the very beginning, I started hearing this bird, and it was tipping at the window. But I bought a home on foreclosure a few years back, and it needed a lot of work, especially yard maintenance and all of that kind of stuff. And so I've gotten around to doing a lot of it, but it's certain things that I hadn't gotten around to doing just yet. And so that tree that's outside of that window is actually, that's my bedroom window. That's my master bedroom window. So that tree has grown up along the side of my house, and it's kind of, close to the house. And I kind of like it because it gives me privacy on my bedroom window. But some of the vines and branches have gone out of control to the point where I need to get up there and cut them down. And I had gotten around to kind of the rest of the yard, but I hadn't got to that tree yet. At this particular point where I shot this video, I hadn't got to that tree yet. So after my father passed, and after the narcissist told me that she was pregnant with my son, and then she discarded me, and I was pretty much discarded throughout the whole pregnancy. So what she did was she used her flying monkeys as like her personal assistant. So throughout the pregnancy, if she had a message that she wanted to display to me, she would use one of her flying monkeys to come and contact me. And I'm looking at her flying monkeys like, I didn't lay down with you. You not pregnant by me with my baby. Why are you coming to talk to me about anything? Like, why are you even involved in this? But at that time, again, I didn't understand narcissism. I didn't know that they use flying monkeys. I didn't know what was going on at all at that time. So it was kind of like all brand new to me at this time. So I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to get a handle of what's going on, and like, why is this person contacted me when you should be the one that's contacted me? You're the one that's pregnant with my child. You're the one that has, that's keeping me away from being at the doctor's appointments and all of that kind of stuff. And like I said, that hurt me so bad because I always wanted to be the father that was there at everything. I wanted to be a part of, the entire process. And I feel like she kind of robbed me. Well, not kind of, she did. She robbed me of the entire experience of your child's mother actually being pregnant. Like, not only do I, love my son and care about him now, I wanted to be a part of the process all the way through his life. I've always, saw myself as being that father. And then not only that, I always saw myself as having my children with me 100% of the time. Like, and that's something that her and I had discussed. She knew that about me. She knew that from my own personal childhood, because she knew narcissists get to know you. They get to know your childhood. They get to know your childhood wounds. She knew that it was going to hurt me to not have my son on a daily basis. And she did it on purpose. Like, she purposely went out of her way and basically put me in a situation where she knew that it was gonna hurt me. She knew it was gonna crush me to not have my son, because we had so many conversations about it. So you gotta look at it like this. A woman that's always coming around, she's always involved, she's always around, she's showing me so much love and attention and time, and she's always at my house anyway, and then boom, she gets pregnant, and now she don't have no time for me. She don't want to call, she don't want to talk on the phone. Like, this woman used to call me at 7 o'clock in the morning and talk to me from 7 o'clock in the morning until midnight. And I used to, I used to have to kind of force her to look, I gotta go to work, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Like, I'll holler at you later. And and when I would be away from her, it was like, oh my God, I missed you so much. You know what I'm saying? It was like so much attention and love, and she showed that she was like devoted to me in that little love bombing period. So of course, somebody that's not used to receiving that type of love or receiving that type of attention, you can fall into that trap. You can fall into it and be like, okay, man, I like how that feels. I like, somebody that's I'm always the one that goes out of my way, and I'm attentive to everybody in my environment. So the fact that somebody was attentive to me in the same particular way, I felt like it was a great situation for us to have a really good situation, because I thought it was going to be a give and take. Like I finally found somebody that was willing enough to give just as much as I am. And so that's what I thought that I was getting. I thought I was going to get a super, I was looking at it like, okay, this is going to be a strong situation for me. I've known this person since childhood, and I'm going to tell y'all the whole story. I got to give y'all my whole entire story so y'all can understand everything, all of the aspects of how this kind of played out and how I was kind of caught up into the situation. Because it wasn't just the fact that I just fell for this or that or fell for the looks. It was kind of like a whole picture, and it's kind of why I can honestly say that I know in my situation that this spiritual warfare, this was supposed to happen. This was ordained to happen. But like, this was meant to happen this way. And even with me having my son the way that I had him and all of that kind of stuff, it was, and that's why I don't have any qualms about taking care of him. I do everything that I can as a good father, because God wanted me to have my son for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason that my son is here. And the circumstances may have not played out the way that I wanted them to, but I'm still very blessed to have my son. I'm still very blessed to have him. So let me get back to the birds in the video. So at this time, like I said, all of this is going on. I'm in the mix, and she has pretty much ghosted me the whole pregnancy. Now I'm talking to the representatives and all of that kind of stuff. I'm talking to her flying monkeys and all of that kind of stuff. Now, the gender reveal comes. When the gender reveal comes, she actually sends my family, her and her flying monkeys sends my family a flyer. And they send us a flyer, and the flyer sends us to the wrong location. Sends my entire family. So the Narc and her family are at the correct location on the same day, and they're partying it up, and they're figuring it out that we're having a boy and all of that kind of stuff. But she sent my entire family to the wrong location. So my family is sitting in a location and I'm walking up to the manager, and I'm like, hey, is there a gender reveal here today? And he was like, no, we don't have one scheduled. And I'm looking around for her or her family, anybody in her family. Nobody's there. So it's like they did stuff to me purposely, like to piss me off, to get a reaction. So they literally sent me and my entire family to the wrong location on the gender reveal. Now, can y'all imagine having somebody that's having your first child? This is your first child now, and you think that this person, you've grown up with this person has shown you that they loved you and cared about you all the way up to the point that they've gotten pregnant. And now all of a sudden they're doing stuff like this to you. They're literally doing things to purposely and intentionally hurt you and try to get a reaction out of you so that you will react and be the bad guy in a situation. Now, the good thing is I never reacted how they thought that I would react, even in that situation. When I started realizing that, okay, these people are just stuck on stupid, I just started kind of just distancing myself and staying away from them. So it was kind of more so like, I was choosing God. I was choosing the God in the situation. Like, okay, and I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing. I just, you know, I think God is in all of us. I think God is in the chosen ones and things like that. They say certain ones of us are chosen, and I think this video kind of shows you why I started this channel. It kind of shows you because I've always gotten spiritual signs like this bird right here. So, all right, so let me close it out because I know this video is getting a little bit long, and I don't want it to cut off on y'all, but basically what ended up happening was I was going through all of this craziness with the narcissist. Now I'm figuring out that she has problems, but I still don't know what's going on. My son is born. Boom. My son comes. Now, when my son comes, I hear a tipping at the window. My son is born, and I start hearing this tip, tip, tip. I didn't think nothing of it. I was thinking like, man, I gotta cut that tree down. I got to cut that tree down because I'm thinking the wind is blowing and the wind is hitting up against that window. And I'm like, okay, I need to cut that tree down because it's aggravating. So it was aggravating me so much that every morning, and it's crazy that I didn't realize that it was happening only in the morning. Well, no, it wasn't happening just in the morning, but I first noticed that it was happening in the morning and then it would just go away. And I'm like, what's going on? And then in the afternoon it would come and it tip, tip, tip. But every time I would look out and look out of the window, I didn't see anything actually physically hitting the window. So I'm, you know, and what was happening was when I would try to open a window, the bird would fly away. So this went on for probably a good month. Now, the first month, the narcissist was playing the parental alienation game. She wasn't allowing me to see my son and all of that kind of stuff. And so I kept hearing tip, tip, tip on the window again, tip, tip. And I'm like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, I got to get out there, cut these trees down, all of that kind of stuff. Now, one day, I just so happened to leave the curtain slightly open. And when I left the curtain open, I was asleep. And I woke up in the morning, I was about to get ready for work, and I heard the tipping again, tip, 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 tip. And I had my phone near me. I was charging my phone in the bed, and I put the video camera on. And once I put the video camera on, I noticed that it was a bird flying into the window, tip, tip, and he just repetitively kept flying into the window, tip, 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 tip. Tip, tip. So this video that I showed y'all earlier, that's actually, I couldn't find the original video. The original video is the very first time I caught him. I had a longer video, and it was, you know, the bird just kept on it, kept on it, kept on it. And so the video that you guys saw is actually me and a friend of mine. That's how you know that this was happening over a period of time, because it was like I had a friend of mine that was renting out my second bedroom at that time, and once I noticed that it was a bird that was flying into the window, I told him about it, and I was just jokingly, I said, you know, my dad keeps flying into the window. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad keeps flying into the window. And like I said, I had just lost my dad. At that time, probably it had been about a year at that time. Now it's about the same time, around April of 2020, when I shot that video with the bird flying into the window. So my friend and I are laughing about it. We're kind of cracking up about it because it was like a running joke that, yeah, you know what I'm saying, that's your father, this, that, and the third. But what I ended up doing was I took the longer version of that video and I sent it to my grandmother. Now, my grandmother has always been that person in my life that, you know, she talked to me about symbolism. She talked to me about, you know, even as a child, like she's one of those, you know how grandmothers are. My grandmother was the type of lady where she, you know, oh, you know, that's a sign from God, baby. You know, that type of thing. So, I sent the video to my grandmother, not thinking anything of it. I'm just like, Grandma, look at this. There's a bird that keeps flying into my window, this, that, and the third. And I knew that she was going to have kind of something profound and spiritual to say behind it. So, I knew that I was taking it to the right person. And immediately she said, "That's your daddy, baby." And I had already kind of thought about that. And she was like, "Yeah, that's your daddy, baby." She was like, and now mind you, I just had my son. So my son is here now. The narcissist has discarded me. So I have a brand new, never been a father. I'm a brand new father, and his mother has just completely discarded me. So now I have my son, and I have a brand new baby. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do as far as feeding this baby the bottle. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What I'm saying? I barely know how to change a pamper and all of that kind of stuff. I barely know anything about what to do with this baby. I literally have a 1-2-month-old in my arms, and his mother has just gone off, and she's out, dealing with her new supply, probably having more sex with the new supply, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm sitting here with this baby, not really knowing what I'm supposed to be doing with this child. And all I know is I want to be a good father. I want to be a good father. And I keep hearing that tipping on the window, tip, tip, tip. So, like I said, I reached out to my grandmother, and my grandmother was like, "Yeah, baby, that's your father." And she said, "Next time he comes, talk to him." And she said, "I promise you guys, it's the honest truth." She said, "Next time he comes to your window, talk to him. Let him know that you're okay. Let him know, she basically just said, talk to him, and he'll go away. And, once you talk to him," she said, "he'll go away." Now, I didn't think anything of it. I'm just like, "All right, Grandma, I'm gonna try that." I'm just laughing it off, thinking like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna try it." You know what I'm saying? So I waited. I actually waited because the bird had came a few more days, and I don't get my son until the weekends. So the bird had came a few times during the week, and I didn't say anything to it. I said, "I'm gonna wait until my son is here." So sure enough, like clockwork, my son is over for the weekend. It's a Saturday morning. Saturday morning comes, tipping comes again, tip, 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 tip. And I said, "Okay, the bird is back. The bird is here." My son was in his crib at the time, and I picked my son up, and I took my son over to the window. Excuse me, y'all. So I took my son to the window, and I held my son to the window, up to the bird. The bird literally just sat on the branch. And I looked, and I said, "I got him. I got him. He good." I said, "He's good. Pops, I got him." And just like my grandmother said, the bird flew away, and I never saw the bird again. From that moment on, from that point on, I knew it was a purpose. Like, I knew that it was a sign. That was a sign. Like, it was a sign from God that I was going to be a special father. I was going to break the curses in my life. I was going to break the generational curses that was over my life. And it just showed me how good God is. You know what I'm saying? Like, how good. It showed me how it signs around us everywhere. It signs in nature. It signs around us every single day that's showing us that he got us. You know what I'm saying? He got us. And I just wanted to share this video with y'all just in case somebody is going through something right now. Look around you. Look at the signs that God has given around you. Just look around you, y'all. I got one more clip, and this has been happening recently. Excuse me, y'all. This has been happening recently. It's a new bird that has been popping up. And it's kind of like, I want y'all to hear what this bird sounds like, this second bird that's been popping up. I got a clip of him the other day. I've never heard a bird sing this beautiful. It's gonna sound crazy. Like, this might sound like a conspiracy theory to some of y'all, you know, but any of y'all that's in faith, you know, any of y'all that believe in God, he real, you know what I'm saying? He real. So I'm gonna let y'all hear the second clip, and I want y'all to listen to how beautiful this bird sounds. And I feel like it's a sign of abundance coming in my life. That's honest to God truth. I just want y'all to listen to what it sounds like real quick. I'm gonna get at y'all in a minute, man. I ain't mean to get emotional on this video, man, but I love y'all. I'm gonna let y'all hear this other clip, and I'll talk to y'all in a minute.